What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Flop. This is episode 10. Today, we are going to be talking about how to play with confidence. Before we do that, I just want to thank our sponsors, Triple Crown. Really appreciate you guys supporting your sponsorship, guys. Everybody, I've said it the past couple episodes, but they're doing an event out in Iowa at the Billion Auto Cornhole Classic at the Riverside Casino and Golf Resort. This is April 1st through the 3rd. It's going to be an awesome event. You guys go out there if you're in the area. The prizes are pretty big, so it's going to be really cool. And then also, in addition to that, I would definitely just go on Triple Crown's Facebook page and their website and just check out what they have going on. I have a lot going on, so sometimes it's hard for me to know everything they're doing because they're doing something awesome all the time. So definitely get on there. See, they've got awesome bags. They're really doing some awesome stuff most of the time. So you guys go check that out.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so let's get in this episode. Before we dive into our topic today, I just kind of want to catch up with you, Dad. You know, we do this all the time on the phone anyways. I guess we'll just let some people kind of listen into our normal conversations. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I have been trying to really put into place a lot of the great information that we've gotten over the past few weeks and some of the interviews that we've done, and really tried to apply those things. And I feel like I do feel like my game's elevated a little bit. I'm not going to say that I'm, a totally different player, but I have had some successes utilizing this new found confidence that we've been trying to talk about. And I feel especially in like blind draw situations, I've been playing with a lot more confidence and just letting my practice and letting the work that I'm putting in kind of do its own thing, letting it manifest and just knowing that I've done the work. So I know I'm capable of making shots. I know I'm capable of sliding a bag in the hole. And so now, even if I have a bad bag, I'm really trying desperately to shake that off. If I throw a bag at the front of the board, I'm trying to not even make a face or roll my eyes or stuff like that. And I fell. I mean, I am still struggling, and at times I have rolled my eyes and then caught myself and put myself in check. Okay, stop. You got 3 other bags. Let's do something good with the rest of these. So I feel like it's been doing wonders, really. Just playing with that irrational confidence that we talked about, showing up to the event, knowing that you have the ability to play well, and trying to let that show on the boards. And I've gotten a first in a blind draw. I got second in a regional blind draw. Me and my partner Craven took first in our competitive doubles, which was a big milestone for us. And we've been throwing well. Went to a like a charity event yesterday and threw pretty well. Had some really tough games and were able to come out on top. Fell a little short, and so we didn't make it into the podium or anything like that. But overall, unlike in the past when we've left some events with some bad losses or things, we would get down on ourselves. But we both took away very positive things from the event, and we both felt like we were really throwing well there. And then outside of our normal conversation, which has been in the past, we never seemed to throw well at the same time. We didn't have that issue. We both threw pretty well. It was more the communication of the strategies. Like there was moments when, I should have been more vocal about a strategy I had versus a certain team that I feel like would have worked. And then he ended up accidentally utilizing the strategy towards the end and started scoring points. But at that point, it was a little too late in that particular game. So, that's again, it's good to have different things to say. We need to work on this, and it's not, we need to work on being better. It's just, we need to work on talking to each other. We need to work on, even if we're calling a timeout in the middle of a game because we see that one of us is doing something that's not working, and we need to just pause, talk to each other, get on the same page, and start it back up. So it was a very positive event, and I was certainly happy to come away with those takeaways versus we just got to throw better, So that was good.
That's awesome that you guys have tangible things to take away and you're starting to like mature in the game where you can have, yeah, very specific things that you can take away from events and try to implement next time you go back. Was that
Right.
your first time ever uh, getting first place in a competitive regional?
Yes, it was our first time to ever get first in a competitive regional. In fact, I don't even know if we've placed in the top three in a competitive regional.
Wow.
So both of us have been putting in a lot of work. I mean, he's been throwing. He's got a recently. He just cleared out a barn he's got, and he's able to fit his boards in there and do some practicing. So he's been practicing a
Nice.
lot. And then, of course, I've been practicing a lot as well. So it was just nice both of us be able to have that preparation under our belts to go into an event and then see it manifest on the boards. It was just very positive. We were over the moon about it. And so it's just good to know that if you do put the work in and you do come in confident and say, I'm going to play to the level of my preparation, and you do well, there's nothing more gratifying than that, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
because you're gonna have events where you've put the work in, you've been outside throwing every single day, you show up on Saturday and it's just not there, you know, for whatever
Yep.
reason. You're having that kind of day where nothing seems to be falling, they're hanging up on the hole, or you're a little short, you're a little left. You're gonna have these moments, and those are the ones that are discouraging because you're like, God, I've been putting the work in, why is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a success on the same from the same product, it's just that much more gratifying to know
Yeah.
that, I did this, and I did this because I put the effort in, and it worked, so it's been a very positive experience. So I've loved these conversations that we've had and the takeaways we've had from the interviews, because
Yeah.
I truly do feel like um, I truly do feel like it's really good information. And if you're able to take what these pros have to tell you, and I mean they're great at what they do, and
Mm-hmm.
if they're telling you that these are some tools that can help you, you'd be a fool to not try to implement those tools. And so, especially if you're trying to get better, which we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I agree. That's awesome. I'm so proud of you guys. Congratulations. That's
thank you.
seriously
Thank you.
awesome. Like that's just
Thanks.
unbelievable. I want to get there one day. That's just really, really cool. So as far as me, I have been on a different path recently, and I'm kind of in a slump right now. I kind of am on the struggle bus a little bit. I've just like you were talking about, and I actually wrote this down because I wanted to make note of it. But I wrote this down earlier, and I just wrote, doing more work than others doesn't guarantee success. It's just the minimum work requirement. Like it's
Yeah.
because if there's anything, you know, if there's anything I do, it's I work hard, and I make sure that I'm outworking everyone else. And it just like you said, it's kind of frustrating when you know that you've put more work in than every single person you're playing against, and they're still beating you. And
Yeah.
it kind of took me a second to realize that, like, okay, like just because you work harder doesn't mean that you are going to get the result necessarily. Like you have to work smart, and like if someone is working more efficiently than you, and their practice is more effective, and their practice is more intentional, or they're just more locked in mentally or whatever, they absolutely have the right to win, or not the right to win, but the ability to win. And we're not
Right.
entitled to anything just because we work hard.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it doesn't, it's definitely not an equal correlation. You
Yeah,
could literally take a vacation week from work and just throw from sun up till sundown, and that does not ensure that you're going to win your event on Saturday.
that's right.
So you're absolutely right. I mean, it's just over time, it's improvements, it's progress over time. And you will get there. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, when you and we always used to make the joke, about like, if like fitness, if you eat better and you work out, you will see physical results,
Hmm.
because it's science.
Yeah,
It's like
it's true.
no one ever works out diligently, eats good food, and gains weight and becomes, obese. No, it just doesn't happen because it's science. So the same thing can be said for your improvement in any task, not necessarily just cornhole, but any task that you want to be better at. If you put the work in and you are consistent with putting the work in, you will get better because science, it's just the way it is. So if you're
Yep.
putting hours and hours and hours into throwing bags and becoming better at throwing bags, you have no choice but to get better. It's
Yep.
just no one's going to get worse by practicing more.
No,
Right.
I totally agree with you. I mean, yeah, it's difficult. It's tough to see outside of your situation. But to be honest with you, like I honestly I feel bad for I feel bad for everybody else when I lose because it just sends me on a rampage and I'm just going to practice more. And like it's because eventually I'm going to come over the hump and I'm going to, all of this hard work is going to manifest and I'm going to be much better than I am now. And like you said, I have no choice. My brain doesn't know the difference. If I keep throwing bags constantly and I keep adjusting and I keep, another thing that I've really been trying to do is if something is not working, having the awareness to actually change what I'm doing. So,
So key.
yeah, absolutely. Like I was throwing carpet bags for the longest time. My first bags you gave them to me were Pro Advantages, and I loved throwing carpet bags. I still love them very much, but through playing with my partner Josh, we had some issues, or I had some issues at a regional where the bags were kicking on me a little bit, and it's just my bag wasn't perfectly flat that day, and it's not really all the time. So I actually have made the adjustment. Now I'm throwing these Sure Shot Locos a lot. I'm throwing like fire incinerators, and I'm just really locking into throwing up the middle and making sure that my technique is perfect and my follow through is perfect every single time.
Yeah.
And I don't care what happens with the bag once I let it go, because once you let go of a bag, you can't control what it does when it hits the board. So I just want to make sure that my technique is perfect every single time, and then that will give me the results that I need.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are 100% right. And I know this is conversations that you and I've had before we even started the podcast. One of the things we talked about was knowing when something is not working and being smart enough to say, I need to change something.
Yep.
We talked about, I mean, obviously, everyone's heard the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results. Um, if you are doing the same thing over and over and over and the results are not satisfactory, then you need to change something. Now, that doesn't always mean you need to reinvent the wheel, but maybe you need to tweak your grip. Maybe you need to tweak your follow through. Maybe you need to tweak your stance. It can be the
Yeah.
smallest of things that can improve what you're struggling with. You and we talked. I kind of was thinking about possibly making that same transition to the faster bags back. I used to throw fast bags, and I decided I wanted to do more of a dirty game and play a little more like on the boards and make people work. And but I went through a slump of about 2 months. I went through a slump. I went to events and I just was not throwing to my potential. I'm a pretty all right cornhole player. I'm not great by any means, but I'm pretty solid. I mean, I'm not a guy that people get as their blind draw partner and they roll their eyes or they're upset.
No.
And again, this is not tooting my horn at all, but I'm solid. If I have a solid partner, that person's going to know, if they're solid and they draw me, we got a shot,
Yeah, that's right.
And but there was a period of about 2 months when we didn't have a shot. If you drew me, like I was the worst, and I just I was all over the board. Nothing changed in my grip, nothing changed in my follow through. But you and I talked, and I said I'm going back to square one. I've got to get in the lab. I took 3 weeks off, I believe. I took 3 weeks off. In fact, it was right before we started the podcast because I was like, you were coming into town for Christmas. And I was like, I'm going to take a break until you come into town, and then we'll hit blind draws and we'll get back after it. And that was when we started the podcast when you were in town. And I got some fire incinerators, I got some vipers, I got all my fast bags out, and I was like, all right, we're reinventing our wheel because nothing was working. So I just started. I even went to a mat guy throw, which, as you all know, is not a pretty throw at all. It is a
Yeah.
wobbly duck, but when you're throwing a fast loose bag, it's going to hit and flatten out. You're getting no kick. So if you
Yep.
throw the bag straight, it's going to go straight, even if it hits at a weird angle.
That's
So
right.
went back to square one and started throwing with the bucket grip, grabbing it and then just turning the wrist out and releasing. And I started to have a little bit of success with it. I was like, okay, played Ghost a couple times, was able to get some success. The my PPR was going up from where I was
Hmm.
previously, and so I was like, okay. But it bothered the mess out of me that my bag wasn't flat. So I started trying to make some small tweaks, and so I started to go to maybe a little less of a bucket hold and maybe more of my butterfly grip, which usually gives me a flatter bag.
Yeah.
And just through trial and error, trial and error, I was able to figure out that I think I was just rushing and throwing I was going too fast, and I wasn't throwing where I needed to be. I needed to be taking a second before I threw my bag. I was trying to throw in rhythm, and it was
Okay.
like they throw, I throw, they throw, I throw. When in reality, I needed to be finding my center. I needed to be taking a moment. And when they throw the bag, take a moment, then throw my bag. And so I was able to get to my back to my butterfly grip with my super flat bag, and I started to dial it in and I started hitting down the middle again. And that's when I was like, okay, so I went back over to my carpet bags and I continued to have the success of throwing it straight down the middle. And so it took stopping and saying,
Yeah.
I have changed nothing and I am not improving. I am slumping and I am not pulling out of it. Because a lot of people say, just keep playing, just keep throwing, just keep throwing. And to a point, that's correct. But nothing was working. And so
Yeah.
it would have been insane for me to just continue. And so taking that time off, taking those 3 weeks off from going to draws and just focusing on my game at home enabled me to refind it and to get in there and get back to where I needed to be. And obviously where I needed to be just meant my regular middle of the road game. So
Yeah.
but I've been having some success, and so I'm very pleased with progress. And so yes, I know I kind of went on a little bit of a ramble there, but I felt like it was important and pertinent to our conversation to say, if you're struggling in your game and you're just doing all the same things that you've normally done with no
Hmm.
success, take a break, take a breather. Maybe don't go to a draw or two. Maybe even don't touch a bag for a few days, but
Yeah.
just stop, reset, and and see what you need to do. Make subtle changes. Again, it doesn't have to be all the way back to square one. It can just be adjusting your grip, trying this, trying that, moving throwing with your right foot forward instead of your left, or your left foot forward instead of your right, whatever it is.
Hmm.
But just realize that something needs to change, and it doesn't have to be huge, but just try, make those subtle changes and see if you can come out of it. You can fix it, or you can improve in general. If you're not in a slump and you're just trying to get better and you don't feel like you're getting better, maybe make a little subtle change, and that could get you where you want to be.
Yeah. A perfect example of that is Matt Guy and Jamie Graham. They have changed from standing still to stepping so many times. I can't even
Right.
count. And
Right.
because those guys just they throw a lot of bags, and when you do something so repetitively, you kind of get lost in just aimlessly running through that motion over and over again. So sometimes,
Mhm.
like you said, it's really good to pull yourself out of it, take a couple days off, or try something fresh or try something new.
Yeah.
um, because like I mean, we say it all the time. It is hard. I wish I could do it, but it's not that hard to throw bags in the hole. Like you can do it a bunch of different ways, and we watch people do it a lot of different ways. So
Of course.
you don't have to keep everything the same forever from the beginning of your career to the end of your career.
You're absolutely right. And that's a perfect example. And I think those guys, I couldn't swear to it because I haven't spoken to them. But I wonder if every once in a while they change things up for that very reason. Like,
It's
am I
possible.
becoming stagnant? Am I becoming now granted, their level of stagnation is probably very different from our level of stagnation.
Oh
They're
my
still
gosh,
throwing,
yeah.
they're still throwing 10.5s and 11s and junk like that for
Hmm.
entire tournaments. But uh, it, it could be great just every once in a while, every 3 months or so, you make a subtle change, or you take some time off and you experiment with different techniques and different throws.
Yep.
Because you're absolutely right. We've watched Jamie step, we've watched Jamie stand still, we watched Matt step, we watched Matt stand still. We've watched Matt Guy take 6 minutes to throw every single bag,
Absolutely.
and then sometimes he throws a little more in rhythm. Like it's just maybe you're just experimenting with things, and that's enough to keep things fresh. And so that's actually, I feel like that's a very excellent point you bring up, and something that maybe I'll consider in the future is like every once every 3 months, maybe I take a week off. I don't go to any blind draws and I just stay at home and try some different things just to see, hey, is this going to work more? And maybe I make a change. So
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Definitely. So I just want to get into our topic now for the day. It was great to catch up with you. I'm really
Yeah.
glad and I'm happy for your success. I truly am. So that's awesome.
Thanks. Thanks.
Um, yeah. So let's hop into it. Let's talk about confidence. Confidence is extremely important in anything that you do in life, and I think that it can really benefit us within playing this game. And the first thing I kind of want to talk about is positivity, having a positive mindset, and then self talk as well. Like, what is the
Yeah.
story that you tell yourself about who you are and what you're doing? Are you having a growing mindset, or are you having a fixed mindset? So when we're talking about
Right.
growth and fixed mindset, I believe it's from a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. She wrote it. She created these two categories of thinking, and basically the growth mindset is the idea that you are not just the way you were born, and you have the ability to adapt, you have the ability to change and get better and work and strive to become something else. And the fixed mindset is the exact opposite of that. I am smart because I was born smart. I am good at math because I was born good at math.
Right.
And we can take these concepts and we can apply them to anything. One of my favorite examples of growth and fixed mindset are it's a parenting example. I don't have kids, but I really, really want to implement this when I do. The example is when a kid comes home from a test and they say, look, Daddy, I got a 95, like I got an A, and a person that would be encouraging a fixed mindset would say, good job, sweetie, you're so smart. And then a person that has a growth mindset would say, good job, sweetie, you worked so hard. Look how hard
Yeah.
you studied, and you made this happen because of
Yeah.
your effort. Like, great job.
Yeah.
And it's just a
Yeah. It is.
slight tweak that gives them a completely different framework for the way that they live their life.
Absolutely. That is an excellent point. And I think I don't recall if we took that approach with you when you were little, but I mean, I know that with your sisters, we have tried to do a lot more of that. Like, it's
Yeah.
never about like, exactly, oh my God, you're so smart. Because, like you said, that just ingrains that this is what I should expect. And then when they hit times of trial and times of struggle, they think, am I not smart anymore? I mean, that's where your
Yeah.
brain goes, like, I'm smart. This is supposed to be easy for me. um am I not smart now because I'm struggling? But yes, it's if you present it from that standpoint. And then of course, even with you, we've always told you growing up that as long as you're trying your best, we will always be proud of you.
Yeah.
um you may get a D on your math test, but if you struggle with math and you got an F on the last one, that's progress. I mean,
Hmm.
that's improvement. And
That's right.
that's hard work that's manifesting in the improvement. So yeah, I love what you're saying. And that is an excellent point, that you can apply to not only parenting but also also into any other aspect of life, including cornhole.
Yeah.
You might be good at cornhole, but if you win an event, you don't think, oh, of course I won. I'm the best at cornhole, this, that, the other. You're just,
Mhm.
if you look at it like we just talked about in the beginning of this video, in fact, is a perfect mirror of what you're talking about now. We succeeded at our regional because we were working our butts off,
Yep.
outside of the regional, and we showed up and everything fired on the way that it should have because of the work that we put in. So we were proud of ourselves. In fact, we we're more proud of ourselves because we knew we worked for it than just, well, of course, because we're really good cornhole players.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. And the natural inclination when you win, I feel it all the time if I, have success within this game is okay, now I can ease off the gas. Like I finally won. Like I finally
ooh,
did well. It's like that is a complete fixed mindset, man. It's like you guys didn't win because you are just good. And people will win because they are just good, but I
they will.
promise you if you will take a growth mindset approach to it, you will beat those people eventually because they're stuck in the mud. They think that they're God's gift to the earth. They're going to win everything. They're going to win forever. They've always done it. And you're just creeping up, creeping up, creeping up with hard
Yes,
work and discipline.
absolutely.
And you will overcome people that live in that fixed mindset.
Absolutely. And that reminds me of that old quote that's like hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I love that
Yep.
because it's like when you start to see progress and you start to see gains in any aspect of your life, that is not the time to rest on your laurels. That is not the
Nope.
time to say, oh, okay, great, I've accomplished it, I'm good now. That's the time to say, man, that hard work really paid off. I got to keep working hard and continue to grow. So yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. And this is all kind of just tied into your belief system. It would really kind of blew my mind when Ryan Windsor was talking about his belief system and how important it is to his game. He was basically saying that you have to believe that you have the capability to win, and you have to genuinely believe that every bag is going to go in the hole and that you will win. If you have any doubt, it's it can happen, but that's not what it's about. It's about the decision that you're making before you even throw that bag, that I know this bag is going in the hole. And if it doesn't, great. But that's outside of your control once it leaves your hand
Right.
and you're focused on the next one and this bag is going in the hole now.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And that is where, the confidence and playing with confidence and having that confidence in yourself comes from. And, a lot of people have asked us, we've gotten lots of questions about confidence, which is why we wanted to touch on this topic today,
Yeah.
because so many people are like, I'm struggling with playing with confidence. I'm struggling finding confidence. When I show up to events, I'm very nervous and I get in my head and I don't know. So what are some ways that you guys feel like, um, I can build that confidence in myself when I go to these events? And so we were like, we respond back to questions that we get, and we're so thankful when you guys ask us questions and you
Yeah.
give us feedback in our comments. So we hope that we've been able to touch on some of this, but we were just trying to go in a little more in depth. And the best thing you can do to build your confidence up in your ability is to put yourself in uncomfortable situations
Yep.
as much as you can. And there's just not an easy flip switch that you can do to say, today I'm going to be confident. I mean, I think you should do that, but it's not always going to be the most effective if you don't have the experiences to add with it. It's easy for a person who is going to every regional they can find and every blind draw they can find. It's easy for a person who goes to every blind draw and every regional that they can find, and they're working constantly in between these things. It's easy for that person to maybe wake up that morning and flip that switch on that says, I'm going to go in and I'm going to play confident today, because they've been putting themselves in those situations. They're
Yeah.
putting themselves in those difficult situations a lot. It's very difficult when you're only going to a couple of things, though, to say, okay, I'm going to flip that switch and be confident today, because maybe the all the work and experience is not there.
Hmm.
So you want to make sure, number one, confidence, I believe, is founded in hard work.
For
I
sure.
believe I believe that if you work hard enough, you're going to build confidence. You're going to be confident in your ability because you've seen throughout the course of the week, whatever it is that you're doing. It doesn't even have to be cornhole. Whatever it is that you're doing that you're trying to be better at, if you're putting work into it during the week, you're putting in the work, you're putting in the hours, and you're seeing what you're capable of through that hard work,
Yes.
you're automatically going to get a bump in confidence. I mean, just right out of the gate. And then it is as simple as showing up and saying, okay, I'm going to be confident in my ability today. One of the things that you and I always talk about when we go 0 and 2 at a blind draw or something is how did you do? Because so much of when you go to a blind draw is out of your control. You
Hmm.
know, so you can only measure yourself by what you did. You may have
Yeah.
gone 0 and 2, but did you throw well? Maybe you threw out of your mind, and you lost because of reasons that were beyond your control. So you got to have that positive takeaway, and I feel like that helps build confidence too. I know for a fact if I go in and I go 0 and 2, and maybe it's because I got a great, but you run into been to an event, and I know you have too because we talk about it.
Hmm.
The first team you play ends up getting first. The second team you play ends up getting second. And you're like, you just run into studs right out of the gate. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's just as the most you can take away from that is I put up a hell of a fight and they knew I was there. It was not an easy out.
Yeah.
So that builds confidence. So you can build your confidence through losing events.
Yes.
It's all in perspective that you can beat yourself up and you can say, oh man, 0 and 2, 0 and 2. But the simple fact of the matter is that if you play well, if you go in there and you put your hard work on display, you have nothing to not be proud of. Be proud of yourself. So take these small victories. You may not have even thrown like awesome, but if you hit some really key shots, like you hit a
Yeah.
shot and that you normally are afraid to take, and maybe it's a sick airmail drag and you hit it in a clutch moment of the game, and maybe you still lost that game, but take that and just marinate on it. Take your victories and marinate on your victories because that is what's going to build your confidence. You're
Yep.
going to say, I took that shot. I'm very proud of taking that shot and I hit it in a hard moment. Just think about that constantly. Stay there and stay thinking about that and let that carry you into your next event. I mean, build confidence in any way that you can build confidence.
Yeah. I think another thing there's something to be said about losing, and the more you lose, the more, I don't want to say you're more comfortable with losing, but it's like, you know how many times I've gone 0 and 2, like it doesn't, yes, it's annoying, but it doesn't really phase me because I'm thinking about the long game. I understand that like
Yeah.
I'm going to be back at this blind draw in 2 days and it's going to be a different story. And even if it's not, I'll be back in the next 2 days. And like I just I just changed my perspective to a longer term perspective. I'm trying to get better over time. I want to be really, really, really good in 2 years. I'm not necessarily worried about going 0 and 2 tonight. And
Yep.
it kind of takes the pressure off. It's like, you think I've never lost before? Like, you think I'm afraid of losing? It's like, no, you've beaten me 100 times. Like, I have everything to gain and you have everything to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. You should never just be comfortable in losses, but you should let the losses fuel you. So when you go in and you go 0 and 2, take the victories from those losses and just marinate on those. Let that build your confidence. You shot the airmail this time and you hit it. Then let that fuel you to do it again the next time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you take that chance and you throw that fast side hard push that you may have hesitated on in this particular game. But let the victories in the losses let that fuel you and let that be what helps you to build that confidence that you're trying to find. Because once you start to rack those wins up and you see your hard work manifest, it's everything. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I have been putting the work in for. It all of it is starting to pay off. I can see the improvements happening, and that doesn't mean, again, like we said earlier, that doesn't mean that you're never going to lose again. Okay,
Yeah.
you're going to lose. Everybody loses. We've seen the greatest that ever throw a bag lose events. So, but that being said, let it fuel you. And then the only
Yeah.
way to build the confidence is to keep putting yourself in those difficult situations. Throwing at home is not going to build confidence. It can to a point.
Mm-hmm.
It can to a point, and you should be throwing at home in order to do that, because then your muscle memory and your ability is fueled by your hard work.
Yeah.
So yes, that can help build your confidence. But everybody knows that the most confident player in the backyard can fall to pieces when they step up to the board at a regional or a
That's right.
major. So you've got to put yourself in those situations in order to grow your confidence. It's just, there's no other way around it.
Yep. I totally agree. Everything we've talked about prior to talking about preparation, none of that's going to work. Focus, positivity, self-talk, all of this stuff, none of that is going to work if you have not prepared yourself. Something we say in the military all the time is you don't rise to the level of your expectations, you fall to the level of your preparation. So you need to make sure that your baseline is strong. You need to make sure that you have trained and prepared. And yeah, you may not build much confidence playing at a regional just from throwing a lot in your backyard, but there's something to be said about you've been in your backyard, you have seen your arm let go of the bag and seen that bag go in the hole so many times. You're literally, by working and preparing, you are proving to yourself that you can do it, that you can be successful. So you have this memory, this subconscious memory that you're able to execute what you need to do.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. So, to answer the question of how do I build confidence at events, it is to be prepared for those events
Mm-hmm.
and go to as many of those events as you can,
Yep.
because there's no other a way to do that organically than
That's
to
exactly
just
right.
do it, than to just do it. So you just need to make sure that you're putting yourself in uncomfortable positions. Everybody's always heard, be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yep.
So that's truly the best way for you to continue to grow and improve.
Definitely. And something I also wanted to talk about, something that can kind of take away your confidence, is when you have errors, when you mess up, you throw one bag off and you're like, okay, now this bag has to be in. Like I can't, I don't, I'm not able to afford any more mistakes this round or whatever, and it kind of drains your confidence,
Mm-hmm.
and you become timid and you become reserved and restricted.
You
And
do.
so I kind of wanted to talk about our emotions while we're playing this game. I don't think that you should give your emotions toward anything that doesn't help you throw bags in the hole. So if you throw a front board, you throw off the back, whatever, that doesn't help you anymore. It's time to move on, and it's time to believe, like we were talking about, positivity, self-belief. It's time to believe that this next bag is going in the hole.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And one thing that I am trying, and I still struggle with a great deal, is not showing that emotion of that missed bag.
Yep.
I'm really trying to train myself to stay in that bag, the next bag. I'm sorry, is what I'm
Yep.
trying to say.
Yeah.
Is okay, I have screwed that first one up. I've thrown it off the board. I used to pop the next one in my hand and roll my eyes or drop my head or whatever. But I'm trying desperately, and I'm still not great at it. But I'm trying desperately. If I hit the front of the board, blank stone face, just I got three more bags. Let's freaking go.
That's
You
it.
know, because I can still get a 9 on this round.
Yep.
So why am I worried about that bag? So and it's like you said, one of the most impressive things in the world is for a player to miss that first bag and then put the other three in the hole,
That's
because
amazing.
you rose above it. You rose above that miscue, and you stayed strong. And so yeah, but yeah, I am emotions. Everyone knows that the more upset you get, the worse you're going to play. I don't know anyone who's like just angry as all get out, just burning with fury, that is just lights out.
Yep. Yeah,
So, it's very important.
I totally agree. I think it's all about character at the end of the day. Like you want to be a person that has control of their thoughts. You want to be a person that has control over, what you do, and you don't want to focus on things that are outside of your control. There's a lot of things that are outside of your control. A quote that I love is that the best people make the best athletes. And the reason that is because those people are good at being people. They're good at being in control and responsible and being disciplined and hardworking and caring for other people. And they're focused on what truly matters. Because if all of your self-worth is in winning a cornhole game today, then you're thinking about it wrong. Like, there are things that are so important in life and so meaningful. And when you can kind of focus on what matters and let go the things that you can't control, that's when you're going to perform your best, because you're going to be just Zen mode focused, because you've got your priorities in the right place.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Though, if the worst thing that happens to you in a particular day is that you lose a cornhole game, you're going to be okay.
You're doing great.
You're doing fantastic. You're doing better than like 80% of the world. If if the worst thing that happens to you is losing a cornhole game. Now, we all know, as cornhole players, that in that particular moment, that we may not feel that way. We may feel like, I lost that game and I hate it, and I hate myself, and I hate this game, and I'm lighting all my bags on fire.
Yep.
But yes, perspective is a cure for all ills.
For sure.
I lost a cornhole game, not the end of the world. Guess what? Next week I'll play another one. It'll be fun.
That's exactly right. And if you know that, and this is something that I know every single time I go play, whatever happens in this game, it's not going to stop me from continuing to throw bags all the time and trying to get better.
Right.
Like, if you're going to let losses stop you, and you see people all the time, hey, selling all my bags, like, I can't do it anymore, like, this is stupid. It's like, yeah, I mean, good on you or whatever. There probably are more important things in life. But, like, yeah, like, losing a game is not going to make me stop practicing, and because I know that. Like, it's just a part of – it's a habit for me now. It's something that I do without even thinking about it every day. I'm throwing bags.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we've touched on several times in this video, when you do lose that game and you feel like it's over, let it fuel you. Instead of saying, I'm quitting this game, I'm getting rid of everything, say, well, I'm just going to work super hard this week, and I'm going to come back next week and I'm going to be stronger.
Yep.
Let's go. So always let it fuel you, let the losses fuel you to practice harder. Let the wins fuel you to practice harder, because everyone knows it is harder to stay on top. I've never had the privilege of being on top thus far in my cornhole career. But I do know that everybody's trying to get better. Anyone that you're playing weekly, that you're seeing these faces that you're seeing weekly, they all want to be better. I mean, we all have fun going to the events and hanging out with the people, and cornhole people are some of the best people in the world.
Totally.
But everybody in that building, on whatever event you go to, is trying to get better, So let it fuel you. Let the losses fuel you. Let the wins fuel you. Let it all fuel you. Let just put in the work, and the confidence will come. Confidence will come from it. Trust me.
For sure. There's no way around it. Michael Jordan said that he was nervous every single game. That literally, you could argue that Michael Jordan was better at his job than anyone has ever been at their job at anything ever in the history of people having jobs. And,
absolutely.
And he was still absolutely nervous before every single game, because we all have expectations of ourselves and we want to do well. And so we're not going to get rid of the nerves, but man, we can learn to manage them and we can adapt. We're adaptable creatures. That's what we do as human beings. You have overcome so much in your life. I don't know, and I'm just talking to you as in everyone watching this. You have so much proof that you can get through hard things and you can do hard things. So just channel that into this silly little game that we play and be a freaking champion and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right. And you want to know who else was nervous? While Michael Jordan was nervous, everyone that had to play against Michael Jordan. That's who else was nervous.
Terrible.
Like, is he going to drop 50 on me tonight? Like, no, I just can't do it. I can't do it. But you're absolutely right, though. So nerves are always going to play a factor. So while you're trying to get better, you're going to have nerves. When you're great, you're going to have nerves. So like you said, the best you can do is manage the nerves, is just to get a hold of them and try to channel them, channel them into work, channel them into all the things that make you a better player and a better person. It's all about managing your own expectations and managing your own ability. And the best way to get rid of the nerves is to make sure that you've prepared for the situation. So, that's what I think anyway.
I agree. Well, Dad, as always, I loved conversating with you. It was really awesome. I think this is a good episode. I hope it helps you guys, seriously. Whether you're doing awesome right now and you're throwing everything in the hole and things are just clicking on all cylinders, great job. Keep freaking let it fuel you, like you said, Dad. And then if you're down in a slump right now, let that fuel you too. Make sure that no matter what your status is, whether I'm succeeding or I'm failing, that minimum work requirement, that outwork everybody else and trust the process, is still there. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt on the site probably eventually, I think.
I think you should too. Yeah, absolutely. It's much trust the process.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's so true. It's so true, man. So
for sure. That's awesome. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Really can't wait for the next one. Dad, awesome talking with you, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
All right, later, guys.